Joining me and Rob via the telephone, we have Otis White from Atlanta, Georgia. Otis, thank you for joining the show.
Oh, well, I'm glad to be here.
Oh, wow, Otis, this is great. You know, I love modern technology, calling into a webcast, huh? Does it get any better than that?
Yeah. It can, because you're going to tell us about Civic Strategies.
Well, I'd be happy to. We're a decision-making company. We help communities make decisions about important issues that are facing them. And you won't be surprised to learn that a large number of the folks we deal with are interested in creative people and how to get more creative people in our communities.
So then how do you help the communities? I mean, what are some of the things that you do?
Well, first of all, if their interest is in keeping young, highly skilled, creative people in the community, one of the things we obviously have to think through is what are the expectations of people like that. Now, it could be other things that they're interested in. What kind of economy should we have? How do we build better schools? How do we deal with racial problems and ethnic tensions? So if the problems are difficult and the answers are not clear, they tend to come to people like us to help them.
Well, how you make some mention about like mayors playing a role in this city, and obviously that makes sense from a large government kind of thing. But explain your philosophy on, like, can you give us some examples of like bad mayors, good mayors, people that have made a difference, people that have made a difference negatively, also positively?
Well, there are, thankfully, some good mayors around. I'm in Atlanta, and we happen to have a good mayor right now, Shirley Franklin. We had a very bad mayor before Mayor Franklin, so we know the difference between a good mayor and a bad mayor. But the unfortunate but honest answer is you're not going to get very good politicians in the long run. You're going to get a lot of mediocre ones, and those will be the ones you actually can tolerate. You're also just going to get some bad mayors. So it's very important that communities develop leadership beyond elected officials, and that means business leadership. It means civic leadership, nonprofits, neighborhood leadership. The more communities work on getting people involved and sort of in the right ways involved, the stronger the communities become. And then when they get good political leadership, and it does happen every once in a while, those communities just take off.
Oh. Well, tell us a little bit about your partnership with Governing Magazine. I mean, that kind of just a little segue into that.
Right. You mean what I did for Governing when I was with them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I wrote a column. This will sound incredible. It was a daily column, meaning 5 days a week.
Oh, wow.
For the Governing website, and it was about what was going on in cities around the country, and we tended to focus on the 20 largest metropolitan areas, and what lessons, what these places were doing, they held for other communities. In other words, if something was happening in San Francisco, how that might apply to other places. So that was it. It was a sort of news analysis with a lesson of the day.
How with the lesson of the day, is that sort of like a blog, a little advice, 5 days a week? It kept you busy, I'm sure. How did you measure the largest 20 markets? Is that from a DMA ranking or something from broadcast television?
It was just a convenient way of deciding what's the universe of places that we'll look at. It took us a little while to figure out it was the top 20, we thought at first there would be limited lessons there for smaller communities. And what we found is that smaller communities were very interested in what goes on in big cities. And there's enough variety in the top 20 to provide lessons for virtually everyone.
Was Tampa Bay in the top 20?
Yes, it was. You actually got promoted to the top 20 while we were doing this. You bounced Pittsburgh out of the number 20 spot and entered it. And I have to say, I had a real affection for Pittsburgh in its politics, so I missed it. But I thoroughly enjoyed getting reacquainted with the Tampa Bay area because I lived in Tampa at one point and knew a little bit about it then.
Well, how have you impacted the Tampa Bay area? I mean, since you've been gone, not with the studies that you've done?
This was a sort of other part of my life. The reason I got interested in doing this stuff for governing was because clients were always asking me what was going on. And, you know, one of the questions that's very common for community leaders to ask is, how weird are we here? How strange is this place? How much do other people have the problems that we have? So I was interested in just sort of establishing what's going on around the country, not so much to sort of say this is the way. You can't turn another place into San Francisco, but you can say, and it's sometimes reassuring to people, that the problems that you're having here are replicated in other places.
And
Believe it or not, San Francisco.
Right.
You got a homeless problem. San Francisco's got a homeless problem. LA's got a homeless problem. They're making some progress on homelessness in Philadelphia, and you need to know about that, and so on. And in New York, they made progress. So it's sort of important for communities to understand they're not all that different. There are potential answers, but you're going to have to come up with your own answers that work for your community.
It's civic-strategies.com, and you can get a hold of Otis White there. You can get contact information, tap his brain, find out what's going on with him. He's a mover and shaker, making things happen. Otis, thanks for joining us on Media Talk.
You bet, Rob.